Hello, my name's Michael Brandt, and I'm the president of the World Institute for Social Education Development, which is somewhat of a think tank, a global think tank for solving, I would say, social problems connected to educational problems. And we look for solutions in education, but we try and make it play out in real life situations. And as you can see, I'm out here in the great outdoors, as most of us in these times of the virus. I'm recording here at the headquarters of the World Institute, and it's in a beautiful place in Washington State. The name of this talk is Affective Social Education Toward a Hopeful Future. And the background is that throughout the history of social and political science, many theories, philosophies, and schools of thought have surged. And these all have one common thread, that none of them have completely solved the problems ailing humankind's civilization. In 6,000 years of man's recorded history, we can also observe the common thread of strife, competition, war, fear, distrust, slavery, imperialism, militarization, economic imbalance. The list goes on. Waste and destruction, any and all of which, if you read the news, we've got all of those things, right? If any social hypothesis could ever be ranked as a reliable principle, it would have to be George Wilhelm Hegel's poignant observation: we learn from history that we don't learn from history. In the long list of isms and ologies, interestingly enough, there seems to be one which is widely overlooked, or possibly not even given a fair chance, as far as a workable system for society or a profession worthy of study. When the topic has been approached, it has been considered simplistic, pseudo-religious, or sometimes, as heard of today, new agey, or even a leftover from the flower power generation, anything but a viable way of politically ordering man's common existence on the planet. And perhaps it does not sound academic enough. A simple term would be loveology. But to be appropriately academic, we'll call it here affective social education, and combine it with global citizenship to have relevance to the global village. We will call the first ASC and the second GC for short. The term affective refers to the ability to move people to action through their emotions, yet in conjunction with the cognitive domain of their human psyche. In this case, the goal is to move them to be kinder than they normally are individually, as well as collectively, regardless of differences in the background, race, or culture. Now we're going to touch on identifying the problem. Traditionally, one region's or country's lifestyle or worldview would be considered their own affair, as long as it did not infringe upon a neighboring region's affairs. But in today's world, there is much more interconnection, and so one country's actions quickly affects the others. Disagreements or difference between regions have come to be considered as cultural, economic, or perhaps political inevitabilities, even the norm. The aggregate effect of so many of these situations currently weighs heavily upon our global village, as we often say, rife with strife. Now to explore the solution, a possible solution. In this study, we identify human commonalities around the globe and explore the possibilities of forming bonds through those. Well, to facilitate our logical thinking process, we use a syllogism. A. Education is recognized as an indicator for future development of humanity. B. Some of the results of our combined education over the past years or more, 50 years or more, are questionable as to their effectiveness in bringing sustainable, true development to humanity. C. Therefore, the content, methodology, and/or emphasis of the past 50 years or more of at least some of our education could be questionable. Or, to quote a famous man, by the fruits of a tree you will know what kind of tree it is. Let's take a look at the fruits of our tree. Could it be that the components of what we consider human education are out of balance or proportion? Let's take a heuristic look. Do we need science in order to develop? Most would say yes. Technology? Yes. Engineering? Check. Arts? Yes. Mathematics? Yes. Well, we just spelled out the acronym for STEAM, education. And why is the global result of this education still ushering us to global conflict? Could it be that we have minimized the soft skill domain of human education, and therefore those hard skills are being used as weapons rather than tools of construction? Could that be why most of the products of our economic progress become the possessions of relatively few? The current estimate is that 1% of the population owns 50% of the world's wealth, and 10% of the population owns 85%. That doesn't leave very much for the 90% that's left. Consider a Picasso painting with a grotesque sideways nose and the out of place mouth, the melted ear, etc. Some people might find fascination at the artist's imagination, but few, if any, would want to marry that guy or girl in the painting. Making the analogy that our education and resulting society is that guy or girl. All the components are there, but something is wrong with the picture. In our presentation, we report the effects of affective social education applied in the contexts of neighborhood community centers called Bridge of Hope centers, curriculum in school programs, social emotional curriculum, teacher training, and in-service corporate business and management training using social and emotional learning, and applying it to social responsibility and global citizenship, like helping across borders. Love and compassion are not learned in a vacuum, but rather by acting upon them. And so the education is applied to concrete social action in these experiments, in these projects. Simple people helping simple people, regardless of what the rich and powerful or governments might or might not be doing. And this research covers a variety of countries and works across borders to promote cooperation and understanding. The relevance to our meetings here in CIES, the education beyond the human, are this. Education without moral direction, for example, social and emotional learning, character building, ethics, which is all a part of effective social education, tends toward greed, manifested in imbalanced and unfair economies, tech used for weapons instead of solutions, an atmosphere of competition for power, waste of resources, and a tearing down of any progress toward peace. We need effective social education internationally, and I would say ASE, as we call it, plus GC, can build peaceful relationships across borders, starting from the very young. We start at 2 years old and we go on up to the president. We call it K to P education. A lot of people ask me about that. What do you mean K to P? I say, you got to guess. Postdoctorate. Nah, farther. Postdoctorate. Nope, not even close. What is it? We have to educate kinder to president how to love, how to care, about impact and assessment, how the intervention can and has worked in a variety of countries and social economic strata. In Russia, it came out in the form of a a movie theater where we had a club for teenagers that would usually end up drunk Saturday and Sunday and fighting, and we turned it into a rock and roll club, and they became such a band of friends that were taking care of the orphans in the city. It was amazing. The mayor of the city said, "What did you do to them?" A little bit of love goes a long, long way. In China, well, we have study clubs, lectures, school curricula. We make community centers called Bridge of Hope centers, where the people want their children to learn English, but we use the profits of this to help the needy rural children, and everybody hands-on all works together to help the kids in orphanages or rural places. And it was really a life-changing experience learning how to love. In Africa, we're doing the Village Hub program applied to a program of the Kenya government called NUFUS, which I will explain, and you can see it later on some of our video or poster presentations. And it turns the village into a prosperous place where once it was desert, now it has agriculture, water, lights, uh, solar panels, internet, and the center of all of this is a school, and everybody in the village is in school. It's amazing, and they form a wonderful band of people that are excited about the progress. And in the USA, in a similar way, we're making a US model of this called the County Level Bridge of Hope Communal Park and Garden Project. And where I'm sitting now is 10 acres of beautiful forest and land, which we're turning into an edible garden and beautiful flowers and shrubs. People can get their lawns mowed, gardens made beautiful with our things. Money goes to help the poor kids around the world. And also now it's very needy, more vegetables and fruits and things. So the plan is that the school districts, and they're very onto this, help grow this. The kids hands-on can say, well, I grew those cucumbers, and the sale of that is going to help some child at the Syrian border or in Kenya that lost his family, or this helps him go to school, and I did it. So you can imagine a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old child learning how he can change the world. It works, it's powerful. We get excited because they say, as our institute is called Social Education, the Institute for Social Education Development, the world has to learn at some point to love, and that is true education. It's not just a diploma you can hang on your wall and say, well, I did it, I've got a BA. And then what? Or a master's, or a PhD, or whatever you might have. So what? What is it doing to change the world? So these are the interventions that we use to bring in what we call loveology, or how to change the world 101 for dummies. Curriculum in schools, which we produce. This curriculum practiced in volunteer work at the schools or in community centers, which we make. Online learning application and a worldwide network. It's a club of students working together and encouraging each other. And in each club, they do work, social work. Maybe they help an orphanage or the countryside kids that need help to have better school, or homework help because their school isn't as developed as the city kids. There's many projects that in each club they can do, and this is decided by the students or the youth. And then they communicate from country to country. For example, hey, you guys in LA, what did you do last month? Well, we helped some homeless people that they needed jobs, and my dad got them a job. Wow, cool. How about you guys in Beijing? Well, we help an orphanage here. We collected our toys and games and clothes, and we went and played with the kids, and we had a great time, and now we're friends. And so you get this going around the world, and it's quite a powerful, powerful domino effect in starting at an early age to change the world. I invite you to listen to one of our theme songs called Hope, a song we made for the Project Hope of China to help the rural children to have a better education. Also, the song Dressed in a Beggar's Clothes, which challenges us to love others as our own family, regardless of nationality, ethnicity, appearance, or social status. The kind of love, I think, we need to ask some help from above to have, because nothing short of a very unconditional love at this point will be strong enough to solve this world's complex problems. Please visit our art exhibit, Children for Peace, a collection of children's art expressing their hope for a peaceful world. And don't miss our exhibit on the Kenya Nufus Village Hub project carried out by Kenya Ministry of Education and NACONEC, which is the National Council for Nomadic Education in Kenya. By the way, NUFAS stands for NACONEC Integrated Water, Food, and Energy Solutions for Schools. We're very honored to be a partner in this highly ingenious and innovative program. Their representatives had planned to come to this year's CIES conference, but they're with us today in spirit. I have great hopes that we will change the world together, but we mustn't give up. Discouragement will come, absolutely. But victory will also come, absolutely. Thank you for joining us today.